Okay, so in the last class we have discussed about what are the different toxications, what is the definition of the microtoxin, what is the definition of your intoxication, all these we have discussed, and we have also discussed what are the problems which is going to be caused by the virus, what are the problems which are caused by the bacteria. Specifically in the bacteria we have discussed Shigellosis, we have discussed E. coli, we have discussed our Clostridium botulinum and Listeriosis. In your viruses, we have discussed about our rotavirus and norovirus. Now we will discuss the yeast. So let's see what are the symptoms for the yeast, or what are the symptoms which are going to be suffer from the person who has the yeast problem. So yeast are like mold which can cause the food spoilage. Food such as your jellies, honey, syrup, fruit juices means if a food which is high in sugar concentration, you will find out the yeast content is very high. So, for example, fruit juices are there and fruit pulps are there. The chances of growing of the yeast is very high. Second is your jam and jellies. Their chances of the growth of the yeast is also very high in the jam and jellies also. So we will get to know the evidence of the bubbles and alcoholic smell or the taste are the sign of our food having a presence of the yeast. So the presence of the yeast can be detected by the following things. First is your alcoholic smell. Second is your sign of the taste which is going to be cause this problem. Now discard any food that have the evidence of the yeast. We have to discard the food which is having the evidence of the food yeast. We should not utilize that particular food item. Now disease caused by the parasites. So these are the particular parasite which is going to be cause the problem in our food. First is your Giardia disease. Second is your cyclospore. So some of your parasites you can visualize in your picture also, but we will take only few which are having the adverse health effect on our food. So cycloprosis. What is cycloprosis? This is a toxin and it is released by the parasite. And the name of the parasite is Cyclospore cytidnesis. And what are its symptoms? Its symptoms include your infection that infect the small intestine. And watery diarrhea is also one of the major symptoms. Loss of appetite, bloating in our stomach, then stomach cramp, nausea, vomiting and low grade of the fever. So these are the symptoms of the cycloprosis, and food sources may be include your berries, lettuce and fresh herbs. So these are the sources through which the cycloprosis a possibility for a particular person, berries, lettuce and fresh herbs. Now second is your Giardia disease. Giardia disease is particularly related with our intestine. In the picture as you can see how it is going to be caused. As you can see, if a person is going to take the contaminated water, food or hand or infected, and it consists of your Giardia disease or your cyst of the Giardia disease, and when we absorbed in our body, it will reach to our small intestine, and in the small intestine it will increase. It will not only increase its morphological side but also it will grow. So it will convert from cyst to trophogills, then further it is going to be reproduce and create more cyst. Now what are the symptoms of this? The symptoms include your diarrhea, stomach cramp and nausea. And the major sources of this is your uncooked pork. Not all the meat, but pork is a major source of this Giardia disease. So whenever you are going to take the pork, you have to sure about the whether the cooked or properly cooked pork is served or not. Now next is your trichonesis. In the trichonesis, we can understand the parasite, which is your Trichinella spirals. And this parasite looks like your small hairy round worm. So as you can see in the pictures, these are the particular sign of this hairy round worm parasite. And what are its symptoms? Its symptoms include nausea, vomiting, abdominal pain, and later stages that there is a possibility of the fever also. And eyes pain is also a possibility. And food sources like undercooked pork, sausages, salami, or it can be come from the meat grinder also. Now disease caused by the toxins. So these are the particular disease which can be caused by our toxins. So top 12 toxins are there which are written here, BHA, BST. Okay, so you can find out that these are the top 12 toxins, and botulism is one of them, and this botulism is given the example here how that dormant spore which is present in the Clostridium botulinum is producing the toxin, and that toxin is going to in our body and it is causing the intoxication, not the infection. So you can see this is the process from which we can understand how the toxin is released in the food item, and when we take this food item, it is going to be cause a problem in our human body. Now this is one of the definition of the toxin. The definition of the toxin substance produced by the living organism, and they are basically divided into four kinds. One is your bacterial toxin. In the bacterial toxin, we have discussed so many kind of the bacteria like lactobacillus, like Clostridium botulinum, like Shigella. So these are all the bacterial toxin. In the mycotoxin, we have discussed particularly aflatoxin, and mycotoxin is generally causing by your molds and fungus. Then phytotoxin are those toxin which can come into our food item from the plant. So these are basically the plant sources, and it can come into our food from the vegetables, from the fruits which we purchased from the market. Next is your zootoxins. Zootoxins are those toxins which can come into our food item from the animals. So there are certain zootoxins like your Ebola viruses are there, Nova virus is there. So many viruses can be come from the toxin can be come from the animal. So four sources are there. You have to remember these four sources. Now what are the some organism and their toxin? So these are the brief table. From that table you can understand what are the different organisms and the toxins. So first we look into the bacteria. For bacteria you can write the example of the botulinum toxin. You can also write the example of the Staphylococcus toxin. For fungi you can write aflatoxin and mycotoxin and ochratoxin. So toxin algae is also there, which is going to be produce the oxalic acid. And natural toxin has to be come from the histamine and glycolides. So these are the generally sources through which the toxin can be come. So I am going to summarize, but the toxin cannot be destroyed by the protein. Once the toxic substance came into our food, it cannot be destroyed. So better to throw that food or discard that food item. So it consists of your bacteria, fungi, toxic algae, and your natural toxins. So be remember of the natural toxins, it includes your histamine and glycolides. Now what are the characteristics of the toxin? Because characteristics of the toxin you have to understand then only you are able to remove that particular toxin from the food, or you can understand what is the potential of that particular toxin. So let's try to understand what is the characteristic of the toxin material. So it includes your non-replicative. What do you understand by the non-replicative? It means that it cannot be replicated again. Means because it's a proteinaceous substance, and protein made up of from the 21 amino acids, and each amino acid having a different morphology. So it's a non-replicative. Second is it's a non-transmittable. Means it cannot be transmittable from human to human. It can be transferred from the animal to human, but it cannot be transferred from human to human. So that is a good thing. Like in the case of the influenza virus and all, you can find out that they are transmissible virus. Then it's a non-volatile, means it cannot be reached into the air, or it cannot be suspended into the air. So the less chances are that you will get the toxin from the air. Like in the case of the COVID-19, you are hearing that the chances of the suspended particle of the viruses which can cause the infection in our body. Next is your colorless, means there is a no color for this toxin compounds, and then odorless and tasteless. Now let's discuss the toxin. First, let's discuss about the aflatoxin. So first, what are its agent? Its agent is Aspergillus flavus, and it's a biohazard. And aflatoxin is further divided into B1, B2, G1, G2. And among them, B1 is the most common aflatoxin. And what is the toxicity range? Its toxicity range is 0.5 to 10 milligram per kg. We were also discussing the particular aflatoxin. So in the aflatoxin, we have discussed what is the different classification of it. Its classification is include your B1, B2, G1 and G2. Then we have discussed what are the diseases which is going to be cause this. It includes your liver disease, cancer, carcinogenic, or like your chronic hepatitis and jaundice. Now second is your ochratoxin. Ochratoxin, as you can see, the particular structure of the ochratoxin, and its particular agent is your Aspergillus ochrus. So this Aspergillus is a source of the ochratoxin, and its tolerable weekly intake is from 120 milligram per kg, and it has genotoxic and a teratogenic effect. Its toxicity having a no documented, means it is not documented yet of the toxicity of this, and its major sources are of your soya beans, coffee beans, grapes, peanut and cereal. So these are your particular sources through which the ochratoxin come into the food item. And you can see the three rings are there. Among the three rings, chlorine is present, and this is one of the amino acid which is linking the other benzene ring. Now next is your potulin. Potulin is basically caused by your grapes and your berries and apples, and you can see one of the signs or the symptom of the color when it is going to be cause any particular kind of your smell back. So the color of the particular apple is changed, and its main source is your Aspergillus clavatus, and its maximum tolerable daily intake is your 0.4 microgram per kg, and it is heat relatively stable and not destroyed by the pasteurization. So cannot be destroyed by your pasteurization, that is very important. And what are its food sources? Its food sources may be your apple and apple juice, grapes and bilberries may affect the sweet cider. Now, what are physical contaminants? We have discussed that it is going to be harmful from the three things. Physical contaminants is one of them. So, in the physical contaminants, you can see the examples. First, look the definition. What is the definition of the physical contaminants? The physical contaminants may be your any extraneous object or the foreign matter in the food item which may cause the illness or injury to a person by consuming it. And the example include your whatever the physical material which is present inside the industry or the plant that can be a cause of the physical contaminants. So it generally include the material like your wire, clay, stones, plastics, bone, bullet. So if it is a like say meat industry or a meat plant, then the chances that there is a chances that the steel or the metal can be come from the knife or the steel wooden which is handled on it or maybe the hooks. So many things are there from which the metals can be come into the picture in our food item as a physical contaminant. And bone. Bone is also a very important criteria when you are selling a boneless meat. So that can also be considered as a contaminant or a physical contaminant. And jewelry. The jewelry policies are there according to the good manufacturing practices. What this policy says that the labor which is present, they should not wear any jewelry, particularly the women. So they should not wear any jewelry. So there must be a jewelry policy according to the GMP. And insect and gum. So we should use the rodents, we should use the insecticide into our plant according to the requirement. Now what are the symptoms? Its symptoms include your nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, headache and fever dizziness. And what are its general sources? Its general sources are your raw material, processing equipment and employee practice. And sometimes what happen like the system, the food which is coming into our plant, it is coming from the crop, it is coming from the farm or it is coming from the truck or the other material which is transporting it. So there are certain chances that the raw material can also be contaminated or the material which is coming into our plant it is contaminated. So we have to check the raw material at the entry level only. Then only we can make a surety that physical contaminant is absent. Now coming to the chemical contaminants. So you can see on the pie chart what are the different chemical contaminants are there. So there are certain chemical contaminants like allergens are there, color additives are there, improper GMPs are there, microbial things are there, nitrites are there, pesticides are there, and there are three types of it. First look the definition. What is the definition of the chemical contaminants? The definition says the toxic substance or any other compound that may render a food or may unsafe for the consumption. So there are three types. First is your naturally occurring chemical contaminants. Second is your intentionally added, and third is your unintentionally added. So in the naturally occurring, it can be come from three sources, particularly the toxins. So these are some of the toxins like your alkaloids. The alkaloids are present in the potato also. You have observed the green color in the potato. That the green color in the potato is from the alkaloids. Then your phytohemagglutinin and polychlorinated biphenyls. So these are some of the examples of your chemical toxins. Naturally chemical. Now intentionally added. So in the meat industry generally the nitrate and nitrites are added to maintain the color or the myoglobin should not be converted into the metmyoglobin. That's why the intentionally added preservatives are added and the color additives are added into the food material. So they can also be the part of your intentionally added contaminants. Now we will look the unintentionally added. As the name is suggesting, that they are not according to the names have been added, but unintentionally they are coming into our food item. So they can be your secondary, direct or indirect, like your lubricant, sanitizer, paint. See how the sanitizer and paint is coming. Whenever the food is processed into the plant, there is a paint and there is a sanitizer, which generally used by the laborers, and it is also used by the, like, whenever the food is going into our chambers, it can come. So we have to take care the certain distance between the food or the processing equipment and the walls, and the sanitizers must be used in the proper a person should be there who is supervising the sanitizer and all the chemicals. Second, unintentionally added one is your agriculture chemical. So whatever the food is coming into our plant, it is coming from the farm level. So at the farm level, generally farmer added the pesticide to kill the pest. They also add fungicides to kill the fungus, and fertilizers like urea, NPK or other fertilizers to increase the productivity or yield of the soil. So this is also one of the great source of the chemical contaminants. What are the chemical elements which can be come into the picture, like your lead, zinc and mercury and cyanide? These are the particular things which are going to cause a problem or the toxic element into our food item as an intentionally added one. Now first we have to understand what is epidemiology, what is transmission and what is outbreak. See, outbreak is a situation where only 2 or 3% in a particular place is going to be affected. For example, Ebola virus has been infected a few person in a few states of the South Africa. But when it is going to be infected from one community to another community or from one place to another place, like in India, if it is going to be transmitted from one district to another district and from another district to another state, then it will come up to a level of your epidemiology. And beyond that, if it is going to the inter-trans boundaries, inter-trans boundaries means it is going to be moved from one nation to another nation, then it will come as a pandemic. So there are at least 5 to 10 diseases which is declared by WHO as a pandemic disease, like H1N1, H1N5, COVID-19 and Ebola. So now you can understand what is the transmission and what is the epidemiology. So how this transmission is going to be occurred, this is particularly the graph through which you can understand. Now epidemiology. Many foodborne illnesses are not recognized or unreported for variety of the reason. So at the ground level, whenever it is going to be start, it is not recognized most of the time. So these are certain reasons why it is not able to recognized. First reason is routine surveillance is not there, and if it is a very mild, it is not able to detect it, because the human body has certain certain ability to tolerate the particular disease up to a certain level. Now second reason is that same pathogens that cause the foodborne illness can also be transmitted into the water and from person to person. So sometimes it is very difficult to recognize what is the specific source of that transmission, whether it is coming from water, whether it is coming from a person, or whether it is coming from the food. Now lastly is the pathogens are emerging and they are considering the factors like listed the numbers. And now who is at the higher risk? So in the COVID-19 also you can find the person which are infant, they are at very high risk. Then pregnant women are also at very high risk. Young children are also very high risk, and old or adult one. whose age is greater than 60 or above. Because the immunity power of the older person is very less in compared to a person whose age is between 18 to 50 or 55. Similarly, for the young children, their immune system is not yet developed. So there are possibilities that it can grow to young children also. And similarly for the infant. Now these are the some symptoms which you can see on your screen when the immunity is compromised with the illnesses. So you can see these are the some pictures. Now what is the morbidity level? So the morbidity level according to the Food Net program, it is found that 19,500 infections were occurred and 68 deaths were occurred. So you can see this figure like norovirus illness is highest, then salmonella deaths are highest. So you can find out the percentage of the death in 2000 to 2008. Now thank you so much. If there is any doubt, please let me know. We will discuss it. And thank you so much. In the next class, we will discuss the further topic in our chapter first. And also we will discuss what are the particular structures and what are the particular compound which are coming from the